Our first topic is who each of you are, and how you're affiliated with Habitat. We'll just go down the line.
Well, I'm Arthur Woodward, and I've been with Habitat for 18 years, and I'm the CEO.
I'm Bill Bartlett, I'm their construction manager, and I've been there 12 years.
And I'm Maddie Marsh, and I'm a homeowner, and I've been there for 2 years.
Wonderful, so exciting. So I guess this is made for you two specifically, but you also, how long have you been involved in Habitat in your lives?
Well, I was really 18 years. So I was the first executive director of the affiliate, and so I've seen a lot of growth over that time. We didn't have campus chapters at that time, for example. We didn't have high school clubs. We had just a bare bones staff. We were in the basement of an old school. It was, real bare bones. It's a lot different. Now it's a much more, we're a lot bigger, more sophisticated. We have a lot of clubs, for example. We have a lot of houses. We have a lot of opportunity to build. And where you're building now is really our big major project, which is really a neighborhood revitalization project, which is different from what we were doing before, which was street by street. So now, if you think about it, we look at a whole neighborhood and build houses in that neighborhood. And eventually, we'll have a ton of houses, 100 houses there actually. But so they won't necessarily be next door to each other like gardens in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I started at Habitat 12 years ago this past February. And I have a construction background. I've been a carpenter and cabinet maker all my life. And worked in residential construction and then commercial construction, and then sort of found my way to Habitat. A friend of mine saw an ad in the paper they were looking for a construction manager, so I applied and was fortunate enough to get the job, and that's when I started meeting great people like Maddie.
Wonderful. And Maddie, when did you first hear about Habitat?
I heard about Habitat 14 years ago. I had applied and I had been approved for Habitat, but things happened in my life and I didn't complete the program, and I just came back. One of the previous homeowners, Lenine Grant, she had built a home for her and her kids, and she encouraged me to come back to Habitat, and that's what I did. So, and I'm very grateful that I did.
I think you have one of the nicest houses of all. You find it really comfortable?
Yes, my home is very beautiful and it's comfortable.
And it's manageable too. It's a two-bedroom home.
Yes,
a little smaller.
Yeah, and it's one of the nicest designs we have, because we have different architects do the designs. Actually, builders did a design for a 1.5-story house, and then it's been shipped off to an architect because it has to be stamped, all that kind of stuff. But he actually designed it. So he's an architect at heart, not just us.
Frustrated.
Not one with a stamp.
You can incorporate it into the building, so that's good.
Yeah. He's also a fine art carpenter. So he's a man of many talents.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
He just did a chest, a handmade chest. It was a blanket chest. He had a blanket chest, right? And he did it. The only problem is, and it was for our event we had on Friday. The only problem was he doesn't have the key for it.
Yeah.
Do any of you know how to pick locks?
Not particularly.
No? Could you get a message out?
I'm sure there's someone here that knows.
So hopefully I won't have to get a sledgehammer and open up the chest.
Right. Oh no, we can't do that. No.
They'll turn it.
I'll get on eBay on whatever it is.
Facebook.
I'll learn how to just.
Or put it on the Flower City Facebook page. Does anyone know how to pick a lock?
Right, I know, yeah.
There's got to be someone. That's great. So next question, what is your favorite part about, you've all alluded to some great aspects, so what is your favorite part about working with Habitat, for Habitat?
My favorite part was in the morning time before we get started with anything, we would pray. And I was so grateful to find some organization that would incorporate that in their daily lives before beginning any work. It was a morning of prayer, and everybody could do it, not just me or him. Anybody that felt like they wanted to pray for that day, they could do that. And that was the most, I don't know, it was just very awesome for me.
For me, in addition to what Arthur mentioned, I do enjoy some of the technical aspects of the job, and having the opportunity to put my imagination to work. But I think beyond that, my favorite part is the dedication. The day the house is dedicated. Quite often there's not a dry eye in the house, and the homeowners have always worked very hard. And the staff has worked hard, and oftentimes the volunteers, or people from all walks of life, from all parts of the county, come. And especially if it's been sponsored by a church affiliates, or a coalition, I should say, they tend to be quite spiritual, and that's really my favorite part.
Well, what I like really a lot about Habitat is, I like a lot about it obviously, but I like the fact that we're all one. You know, that we're very diverse, right? I mean, we're very diverse when you think about it. And yet, when you come to Habitat, you know, we have our differences, we're different people, but we're really all at the same place, because we all have the same goals. And, you know, I think it's the only place where you'll find, you know, African Americans, Hispanic, white, young, old, and of suburbanites and city people, high school students, college students. You know, you find everybody in the mix, which I think is really fabulous, because you know, that's what it should be about. But we all have a very common goal and a very common value set, which, you know, is helping other people. And I think it's very hard these days to do that, to find places where you really can do good. You don't have to be religious particularly or whatever, but where can you find those places? Because we can all make a tremendous difference. Just think about the difference you guys have made, right? And people think, oh, what can I do? But then think, what can you do? You've done tremendous amounts of things. And we have 200 now. We're starting on our 200th house. Isn't that amazing? And it's all to do with, no one has to do with it, but people do it because they want to do it, which I think is fabulous.
Yeah. And that was the other part that I like, working with the students, building the house, and when we make mistakes, we get yelled at, and like, we're doing it right, they'll do it again. It was just really fun, and I enjoyed it, because we all got a chance, the opportunity to work together, build a home for somebody else, not just for me and somebody else too,
Right.
family.
And the supervisors that we have that shepherd the volunteers through the process generally are very patient, but they also want to make sure that the house is built with quality.
Yes.
So, and it's not unlike them to spend a half a day having something done, and then it's not quite right, take it apart and do it again. Fortunately, from my perspective, since I like the houses to stay on schedule, that doesn't happen too often, but I appreciate their concern for the final product.
Yeah, and you have to, I mean, we have this sort of warm, fuzzy bit about Habitat, but we also have a business side of Habitat too. So Bill's job is to make sure those houses keep on schedule. So, because, you know, time is money, so to speak. Now we have an extended time for building compared to for-profit builders. So for-profit builder would take what?
Probably 3 months.
3 months.
For a big house.
Yeah, we take 5, 6 months, maybe.
Well, it's between, depends on what, it's about 4.5 to 5.
Right. So, you know, we take our time, but even within that constraint, he's responsible to make sure that everything is there when it's supposed to be, and that it's built as it should be, and that it's on time, because the longer it goes, the more money it costs us in terms of supervision, for example, which is a very expensive part of what we do. So, you know, we do treat this really as a business too. So, you know, doing good, but there's not much point doing good if you're just sort of pouring money down the drain, right? And having to do everything again. So it's an interesting combination of things.
Great. So I think a lot of us are curious about like the specifics of getting the houses. So how you find land, and then where do you decide to build? So I know J Street, that whole area has become very big. Why that specific area? So this is kind of more geared towards you two, but you can chime in also.
Well, actually, Maddie can talk about selecting her lot, right? Because that's really critical too. But I'll talk a little bit about why we are. I mean, our mission is to build for low-income individuals, and our mission is really to build in the city. And we're forced, and we do that because it's too expensive to build in the county, right? Because we don't have the infrastructure. We did do it once out on the west side in Clarkson. And to buy the lot was $12,000, to get the sewer hookup was $12,000, to do this, you know, it was just a ton of money. And that's a lot of money. So So we decided to focus our work in Rochester where the need is greatest. It doesn't mean to say there's not need elsewhere. And we focused on the Crescent, which is just surrounding the downtown area. And specifically, in the last 3.5 years, we've been in this Jazana neighborhood. There's 24 blocks, and it's a very exciting project for us because we have the opportunity to make a tremendous impact, not just on the street, but in a neighborhood, and to actually help create a revitalized neighborhood. So we work very closely with the community, with the city. When you go, you saw the vacant lots when you went there to take a look at the house. You saw the boarded up houses waiting to be demolished. I think there are maybe 5 opposite your house that are waiting to come down. And so we work with the city, and they sell us the lots for about $500. And we have a plan. Bill generates a plan every year based on what I think and others think the amount of money we can raise. And then we go move forward. And then it's up to Bill to take that sort of idea of this is we want to build 10 houses this year. I think we have these number of lots, these addresses, and then it goes to him. So then he's in charge of the next phase of it.
And those are the nuts and bolts of, we're fortunate to have engineering firms donate their time to generate site plans, which include the sewer and the water and the footprint of how the house is going to sit on the lot, and what the back set has to be from the street, the setback from the side setback, and the rear setback. We're very fortunate to have engineering firms donate their time to help us out with that. And then I have to figure out how to staff them, how many supervisors we're going to need, how many houses we're going to build at a time. And some of this was in place before I started there, and so that was a help, and some things I've tweaked a little bit since I've been there. But certainly the foundation was laid to Arthur's credit and the other board members' credit. Flower City Habitat really got a good start, and it's just been a matter of tweaking it over the years.
Well, it's being a little modest too, because I think we've come a long, long way, because we've really been able to get a lot of help from these different companies. Before we got our new roofing system, it's a guardrail system, so that you'll be able to actually build the roof to look at you. But before that, we weren't allowed. We had a safety officer retired, and we weren't allowed to put our volunteers on the roof because it's so, and it's only one story, but it is dangerous. And so, with Bill's research, we now have these guardrails, so you can actually go and climb up on the roof. And that is a major innovation. Another innovation was moving from concrete block. I think we did concrete block in your house, right?
Yeah,
I think we did. And that was one of the last houses we did, probably with concrete block, which is just a horrible job. Takes how long? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks at least. And now we move to forms. And so you basically have these metal forms, you pour the concrete in, the rebar, and all that kind of stuff. And that actually saves us a ton of time.
Takes a week, almost a week and a half off the schedule.
A week and a half off the schedule. So again, that's an efficiency in terms of supervision. And we have, and then we have people, I'm amazed how they take those forms down and move them because they're heavy things, It's usually the women who do all that stuff.
Money-wise, is it cheaper to do the concrete forms than the?
It's a little bit more expensive to do the concrete forms, but not that much. And it's a higher performing wall too,
Okay.
as far as water intrusion, and which can of course lead to mold issues down the road. So it's better.
And of course, the supervision cost is less because it takes shorter amount of time. So that really goes into the equation too. So yeah.
So acquiring the actual land, I think we got an answer to this yesterday, but just to clarify, you purchase it, the one at least in Johannesburg neighborhood, you purchase it from the city?
We do, yeah.
And is there a lot of legal stuff that goes
Yeah,
into
oh yeah,
that?
you go through a whole lot. What usually has happened is that these are, there were houses on the lots, and typically the owners did not pay their taxes, and if they don't pay them for 2 years, or 3 years, whatever it is, it goes into foreclosure. And it's a long legal process, and it's a county system and a city system. And then they go through a foreclosure process that basically the city takes ownership. The county does not want to own city property, so they give it to the city. And through that foreclosure process, it strips away any liens. So RG&E may have a lien against the property. There might be a mortgage against the property. You know, all of those things that the previous owner is obligated to pay. But when you go through foreclosure, it strips away all of that. So they don't get paid for anything. So then, with that in case, then they do a title search, all kinds of stuff like that. Then they sell it to us. And our lawyer, which is a pro bono lawyer, takes anybody, a law firm, they go and do a, you know, they go look at the title and all of that kind of stuff. And we have to do an environmental study of the lot. Again, that's done through Nixon Peabody. We just pay the fees, so it's not very much. Very extensive, but it's pretty easy because we don't build on any lots that weren't houses, so that's pretty straightforward. So there's no gas station there before. You know, that you wouldn't want to build on that gas station at all. And so then we have been known to build on lots we didn't own. We have been known to build on lots that the city didn't own. We have been known to do all kinds of things.
Keep those volunteers busy.
We have been known to start building a house on a lot we didn't own, thinking we did, and then had to move it. We had to shove the house like 6 feet.
80 inches. South 80 inches.
Oh, it was such fun. Oh, I mean, it's those things, you know, it's like crazy stuff, but that just comes with the territory, you know, and typically, only if I'm told directly by my city contact, you cannot build until I tell you to. We have a lot of leeway, so, you know.
So eventually everything works out.
Everything will work out eventually. But, so it's very interesting, you know. Nothing is as simple as you think it's going to be. And often they combine these lots together. Because there may be two very narrow houses.
That's what happened in that case.
And, you know, then where is the line? You know, what's the address? It gets very complicated. So when all of that's sorted out, Bill has already gone to his engineer to do the new footprints and the plots of the sewer and all of that. Now he's also having to figure out where the sewer is and the water line is, because, you know, some of these are 100 years old. So the way that you think it is always where it is.
And of course, as you can imagine, there are lots of old lead water services in the city, so they have to go away,
Yeah.
be abandoned. And then sometimes we can use a sewer line existing. They put a camera down through it to see if it's okay. If it's okay, we reuse it. If it isn't, we have to put a new one in.
Years ago, we actually, on Thomas Street, which is not by Josiah, it's on the other side of town, we found a wooden water pipe. Isn't that amazing? And that was the original water pipe that they had laid there, wherever it would have been. And that was really kind of really weird. It was really crazy.
Late
to see it.
1800s, probably.
Probably, yeah. You know, so you don't know what you're going to find.
That's true.
Yeah.
Great. So we'd love to hear from you, Maddie. Obviously, this is the most exciting part to talk to homeowners. So can you begin to elaborate on how Habitat has affected you and your family?
Well, Habitat has affected me immensely. I don't have to be worried because before I moved, I was living in a three-apartment complex, and I was in the middle. And I can remember never being able to go to sleep at night. I was always have to sleep in the daytime when I wasn't at work because of the noise and everybody else's noise. I would